जय हिंद, जय भारत एंड वेलकम टू डेव टॉक्स। दिस इज आदि अचिंत। बहुत टाइम के बाद है हमारे साथ अरिंदम मुखर्जी, हार्टलैंड अंडरस्कोर हरी।
Scotland, Aadi. Yeah.
नमस्कार। पहले तो यार, बिफोर वी डिग इनटू द सब्जेक्ट, पहले नमस्कार कर लेते हैं। ठीक है, क्या हाल चाल?
Namaskar,
एवरीथिंग
Namaskar.
ऑलराइट?
Everything is good. I am slightly pissed with you. Slightly
अच्छा।
pissed. Pissed is a very strong word. I am
हाँ,
slightly, you know,
जब भी
तुम
मेरे
यार
आपके
जितना
पास
वो
टाइम होता है, मेरे पास नहीं होता।
नहीं नहीं वो नहीं, जब टाइम होता है जितना जलेबी मार का पेचीदा टॉपिक जितना है तुम मेरे साथ लेके आते हो, ऑल द ब्लडी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड टॉपिक्स यू कॉलिंग मी टू टॉक अबाउट।
तो
लाइक आज
मस्त।
का जो टॉपिक है, इट्स लाइक इट्स बैड।
वेरी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड, वेरी
इट्स वेरी
कॉम्प्लिकेटेड।
कॉम्प्लेक्स।
बट इंटरेस्टिंग है क्योंकि इस जगह में, जिस जगह की हम बात करने वाले हैं, क्योंकि दिस दिस प्लेस कैन एक्चुअली ब्लो अप इनटू समथिंग रियली बिग।
या
ठीक है। एंड
It has actually. Historically, it has always. Caucasus has always been a point of contention.
या एंड दूसरा, जो इसराइल का रिटेलिएशन दैट वी बीन टॉकिंग
Hmm.
अबाउट, जो शो पे भी काफी लोगों ने बात करी है, दैट्स समथिंग दैट
Hmm.
आई वांट टू टेक अप फर्स्ट। पहले उसकी बात करते हैं एंड देन लेट्स काइंड ऑफ गेट इनटू दिस पर्टिकुलर रीजन, बिकॉज पहले तो लेट मी जस्ट आस्क यू दिस, व्हाट डू यू थिंक इसराइल इज गोइंग टू डू?
Hmm. I wouldn't have thought of it otherwise. But आज का जो movement आ रहा है, the one that you called me up in the morning to inform me. That's when I got to hear about the Russian troops moving out. Um, Sort of corroborates something which I've been saying in this podcast, in other podcasts also, that Iran is stretching itself thin. It cannot open across too many fronts and go all out. And Israel could probably be taking advantage of that, given the relationship that Israel has with Azerbaijan. So if Russia moving out of Azerbaijan territory, which is Nagorno-Karabakh, could mean a lot of things, could mean a lot of uneasiness for Iran, and हो सके कि इजराइल डायरेक्ट रिटेलिएशन ना करे, डायरेक्ट अटैक ना करे, डायरेक्ट स्ट्राइक्स ना करे, they can create a kind of a border unrest along the Caucasus region once again for Iran, and Iran is not very comfortable with Azeris and Turkeys coming together. We can talk about that later. So this is
So आप
one.
थर्ड फ्रंट फॉर ईरान?
Yes, could be, could be.
एक तो
Yeah.
पाकिस्तान का फ्रंट है, एक इजराइल का फ्रंट है, एंड देन यू ओपन अप द नॉर्थ। एंड गाइस, लेट्स डू वन थिंग। सबको लेट्स ओरिएंट पीपल विद द मैप, बिकॉज ये पूरा रीजन थोड़ा सा टेढ़ा है। सो विल जस्ट शो यू,
सबसे
यू
टेढ़ा
सी।
रीजन है ये।
हाँ, ये बहुत टेढ़ा रीजन है। सो विल जस्ट ओरिएंट आवरसेल्व्स अ लिटिल बिट बिफोर वी स्टार्ट digging into this. Israel आपको दिखता है, Jordan's area is there, Lebanon is there, small in the corner, Cyprus, which is another contention point between Turkey and Greece. इस तरफ चलेंगे तो इराक, ईरान, और ऊपर की तरफ देखिए तो the part where there is no name, that is Russia, Georgia, Armenia and Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan.
And इसके साथ में the Black Sea is there on the left, Mediterranean Sea is on the left bottom, and Caspian Sea जो सेंटर में आ रही है।
Top right, top left. Yeah,
Yeah,
top right.
yeah. तो अभी जो भी, आई मीन, सो यू बेसिकली सेइंग कि डायरेक्ट रिस्पांस, डायरेक्ट अटैक नहीं होगा जो इजराइल का टू ईरान, विल नॉट बी अ डायरेक्ट हिट। यू आर सेइंग रीजन यूज किया जाएगा।
I'm saying this could be a possibility. I'm saying that this attack that Iran has perpetrated, to put it in good words, on Israel, while this is like kind of Iran, people are people are thinking that this is Iran's way of announcing कि यार हम लोग तैयार हैं and things like that. While this could be good news for Iran, this could be bad news for Iran, because there is Azerbaijan, and Iran is a little apprehensive, a little or a lot apprehensive about Azerbaijan. There are several reasons we can talk about it. So opening across another front which destabilizes the north of Iran could be a very good tactical move by Israel. Point number two, what is worrying for Israel over here, as far as this missile attack on their air bases are concerned, is see, you had to pull in Saudi Arabia, you had to pull in UK, France, USA, pata nahi kaun to ward off that attack. So your so-called invincibility myth is kind of, I won't say shattered, but it's kind of under a lot of
Damaged.
duress right now. Yeah. Okay, and again, so how much are you willing to?
But
How
that
far
is
are
all
you
the more
willing?
reason, na? That is all the more reason you want to showcase your deterrence, you want to showcase your strength. तो आप you will do something, आप करोगे यार, नहीं तो फिर लोग मजाक बनाएंगे भाई ये तो ठोक के चले गए.
But then this escalates now.
It
See,
does.
we've ये क्या बोलते हैं, इराक के केस में these buggers knew that Iraq doesn't have weapons of mass destruction. Okay, so they went and they hit Iraq. Iran के case में you can never be sure whether they have it or whether they
Yeah.
don't. So now, would you want to retaliate? Would you want to escalate and find out? I don't know. We don't have access to the way these people think. But what I'm thinking is, with this phone call of yours and with this movement of Russian troops that you informed me about, this could be a very good, tactical opening for Israel. It comes to if we ask ourselves the question as to why Russia is moving out, then there could be a lot of interesting. There could be one interesting answer to that, we can talk about it a little while later.
हाँ, तो let's get into the contentious region जो Azerbaijan Armenia है उसको. And guys, I've prepared a पूरा historical show इसके ऊपर. कभी अगर कुछ होगा तो we'll discuss this. But ये region को थोड़ा देखते हैं. Would you like to take us forward with Nagorno-Karabakh? क्या है ये जगह?
Yeah, actually this is, as I said ना, वो जिलेबी जैसे होता है पेचीदा, उससे भी ज्यादा पेचीदा है. In fact, this is more complicated than Middle East actually, because this is one territory where Caucasus is one territory जहाँ पे conventional दोस्त और conventional दुश्मन पूरा ये हो जाता है. मतलब all of them enter into a gray zone. Okay, so Nagorno-Karabakh के बारे में, it is a enclave. It used to be an enclave within Azerbaijan. So Azerbaijan and Armenia were Russian satellites, Soviet satellites. Okay, then वो 90 के बाद जो हो गया, Soviet Union crumbled and Russian Federation became Russian Federation. These two announced their independence, and then soon after that, because Nagorno-Karabakh is a territory inside Azerbaijan, which is predominantly Armenian population, these guys went to war for it. And the
93.
first, so that was the first Nagorno-Karabakh war, which Armenia won. And they said that Nagorno-Karabakh is an Armenian territory. 2-3 साल के बाद Nagorno-Karabakh said, okay, we are not Armenia, we are not Azerbaijan, we are autonomous. हम लोग को थोड़ा सा ये मतलब concession दे दो. Armenia agreed to it.
वो क्या बोलता है, उसका नाम क्या है? What is the name of that Republic of ARK something, right?
Abkhazia?
नहीं. They call it the Republic of. They declared independence and they called it what? The territory of. I mean, independence क्या वो जो इन्होंने बोला था कि भाई हम किसी के साथ नहीं रहते.
A bit of autonomy
Anyways,
is what they.
आप आगे चलो. I'll find it. 1 second.
Okay. So इसने autonomy मांगा, उसको दे दिया गया है, and things remained like that. And then this 2020, I think there was this flare up, and second Nagorno-Karabakh war happened, which after 44-45 days was Azerbaijan prevailed, and Russia came in and sort of mediated a kind of a peace between ceasefire kind of a thing between the two of them. उसके बाद ये हुआ कि Azerbaijan ate into territories of Nagorno-Karabakh, and by that time, अच्छा, interestingly क्या हो गया इसमें 2018 में this Pashinyan came to power in Armenia, riding a color revolution. Now, why am I calling this area so complicated? It's because Pashinyan is a chappu of George Soros.
एकदम.
And he comes in riding this color revolution, and he is West ka blue-eyed boy. Suddenly, Armenia, which has traditionally been pro-Russian, starts becoming pro-Western. So that's one change that happens. Now, this kind of a change of preference of Armenian government, when shit hit the fan 2020, when Azerbaijan attacked Nagorno-Karabakh, Russia said, "भाई हम लोगों को कुछ नहीं करना है." So Russia was the guarantor of peace, and they had those 2,000 soldiers and this and that. And अच्छा, इस बीच में क्या हुआ? इस बीच में why did Russia say हम लोगों को कुछ नहीं करना? It was not a kind of a eye for an eye kind of a thing. in terms of कि Russia is over imagining thing that Pashinyan is tilting to west. Pashinyan बीच में क्या बोला था? Pashinyan बीच में इसको अनाउंस कर दिया पब्लिकली कि नागोर्नो काराबाख is no more a territory of Armenia, it is a territory of Azerbaijan. So when this thing happened and when 2000 Russian peacekeepers, they decided not to do anything about it, this bugger Pashinyan, he started abusing Russian कि तुम लोगों ने मेरा हेल्प नहीं किया. तो इसने बोला मैं हेल्प किस चीज का करूं? तुमने तो बता दिया है कि ऑलरेडी तुमने अनाउंस कर दिया है कि नागोर्नो काराबाख इज अजरबैजान टेरिटरी, तो हम क्या करेंगे? What hit them bad was that I think 2020 में हुआ था that Lachin corridor or something, the corridor that connects Nagorno Karabakh with
the bottom left map.
हाँ, कहाँ गया?
Bottom left map.
हाँ. तो ये लाचिन कॉरिडोर को इसने कब्जा कर लिया अजरबैजान. मतलब कब्जा तो नहीं किया, वो तो उसी का टेरिटरी है. उसने बोला कि इसको यूज नहीं करने देंगे. सो दिस thing became Nagorno Karabakh became completely isolated. Now, this 2000 Russian soldiers, they were supposed to, इसका फिर से deployment हुआ था, I think last year, 2020 अक्टूबर के
2020 में पीस ट्रीटी ट्राइलैटरल मीटिंग हुआ इनका. आर्मेनिया, अजरबैजान एंड पुतिन का. इन्होंने बैठ के बात करा, साइन करा कि रशियन पीस कीपर्स रहेंगे. ये कनकेंडी यहाँ पर एक मॉनेस्ट्री है वहां पर.
तो ये अक्टूबर में हुआ, सितंबर अक्टूबर में शायद. और ये था 5 साल के लिए. These guys were supposed to stay there for 5 years. Now 1.5 years ago, why suddenly they decided to move? एक तो बात है कि once this 2020 वाला fiasco happened and this again a kind of a fallout happened last year. Last year I think 2023 September October there was a flare up once again, post which Pashinyan was probably nudged by the West to announce that as of 1st of January 2024 this Nagorno Karabakh will be dissolved and it will be a part of Azerbaijan. Russian army was supposed to stay back till 25 October, September October, पूरा 5 साल. उसने 1.5 साल पहले निकल गया. इसमें 2 इंटरेस्टिंग चीजें मैं बताना चाहूंगा. एक तो है Pashinyan is your, मतलब if you are whoever's watching this video, if you are looking for a Manchurian candidate, इससे ज्यादा अच्छा एग्जाम्पल आपको नहीं मिलेगा. This guy comes riding a color revolution. He is openly backed by the West. He comes in, he goes against the entire Armenian population. He even surrenders a bona fide Armenian territory, which is inside a different country, of course, to that country, all to do the bidding of his Western masters, puppet masters. The next
तो देखो guys, जॉर्ज सोरोस का इन्फ्लुएंस से क्या होता है, आप ये चीज बड़े ध्यान से देखो, because this is a very interesting thing. और अरिंदम जी, मैं I'll add to one thing that you're saying. 2023 सितंबर में जो वॉर हुआ था इनका, do you know American troops इनके साथ एक्सरसाइज कर रहे थे उस टाइम पे. That's the time Azerbaijan attacked and literally took back this entire territory.
Yes. And this guy has, I don't know, this guy apparently has got very good Armenian lobby ka backup from, which influences a lot of thing in United States. Yeah, there's a very strong Armenian lobby in Washington, apparently. So they are backing this guy up. So Armenia is like kind of traditionally, at least the state of Armenia, which is the government of Armenia, is trying to sever its ties with Russia, traditional ties with Russia, because both are a part of that same Orthodox Christianity. They are Armenian Apostolic Church or something like that. Russians are Eastern Orthodox. So these are all part of Orthodox Christianity. So they had a cultural and they had a sort of historic tie-up with the Russians, and they are trying to move away and they are turning to West. And for that, you are asked to surrender Nagorno Karabakh, they have surrendered. You asked to do something, they'll do that. They'll do whatever it takes. Armenia ka abhi ye hal. Now, as far as Russia moving out is concerned, this is my guess, this is my speculation, and this makes it more interesting. Russia moving out could mean that Russia indirectly wants the Israel-Hamas war turn into a regional flare-up.
Fantastic.
Russia,
Can I just,
Yeah.
because audience के लिए थोड़ा सा confusing रहेगा. This is a very confusing reason. Sorry, I'm kind of interjecting so that I can take people through the maps and explain
Yeah.
people कि हम किस direction में जा रहे हैं. So सबसे पहले let's watch this map. ठीक है? जो ईरान का एंगल और इजराइल का एंगल इसके अंदर आता है. Before we go forward, let's I think discuss अर्मेनिया की जो allies हैं, strategic allies वो कौन है, और अजरबैजान के strategic allies हैं वो कौन है. So let's
This
talk
is
about
again
Armenia
very
first.
interesting.
हाँ.
So Armenia, which is a Eastern Orthodox Christian, has got a traditional ally in a Shia Iran. Okay, things go for a toss. Azerbaijan, which is essentially Shiite Islam, has got a traditional ally in Sunni Turkey
And Israel.
Jew Israel. Okay. now, Adi, yes or no? Armenia has got one kind of a tie-up with China. Okay. China is very keen in Armenia. At the same time, China has also got a tie-up, very strong tie-up with Azerbaijan, because ये Zangezur corridor अगर हो जाता है तो China का बहुत सारा वो हो जाएगा, because this is that I think this is the middle corridor is or what something like that.
We'll talk about that. आगे बात करेंगे उसको.
Okay. So now why China is very pally with Armenia also, because Azerbaijans or Azeri people are basically Turkic people. So even though they are Shia Islam, they ethnically they're closer to Turkish people.
Uyghur.
Yeah. So China is scared of the fact कि Turkey उसके बाद Zangezur corridor से Azerbaijan cross the Caspian, get into Turkmenistan, so you enter into a complete Turkic zone. So China is also wary of that. At the same time, China is greedy. So China wants that corridor to happen because of the trade prospects to Europe, etc., etc. Iran is got a problem with Azerbaijan. Why? Because Azerbaijan is friendly with Turkey, Azerbaijan is friendly with Israel, and Iran has got a restive Azeri population, which Iran finds in the north, which Iran finds a little difficult to control. So too much of friendship and more between Turkey and Azerbaijan, and that road, there are at least 11 to 12 projects lined up between Turkey and Azerbaijan, which is going to pull Europe in, which is going to pull Greece and Bulgaria in. There is a बातचीत चल रहा है तुर्कमेनिस्तान से gas pipeline under Caspian Sea to Azerbaijan to Baku, and then Zangezur corridor अगर हो जाता है all the way down and into Turkey. So ये अगर हो जाता है तो Iran has got a lot to lose. And this is on the good side of the story. This is probably 20 years down the line. This is probably 15 years down the line once things cool down. But what is going to happen now is, if Israel takes too much of interest right now in Azerbaijan with Russia moving out, and Turkey also pulled in, because Turkey kitna bhi gali de Netanyahu ko, Turkey has got its strategic interests lined up by staying with Israel, because Turkey has got designs on the north of Iran, Turkic community. Then it will be a problem for Iran actually if this moves ahead this way. Over to you.
और आगे चलते हैं. Let's अभी ये जो जंगूर कॉरिडोर के बारे में, and he's by the way written a beautiful article. Arindam ji, after this please link that article comments में डाल देना. I'll pin it so that people can read that. ठीक है, आपने सुबह mention करा, so I actually read that article, very nicely written.
Thank you.
So
there are
please
two of
read
them
that.
actually.
Yeah. मैंने एक पढ़ा.
अच्छा, there are two of
I
them.
read the one about Zangur corridor.
I'll share the link of both of them.
हाँ. All right. So let's go forward. ये जो corridor की बात कर रहे हैं, this is called the Baku to Kras corridor, which is called the Zangur corridor. ठीक है, Baku to Kras इसका है, and this is Kars, sorry, not Kras. This is in Turkey, and Caspian Sea के इस तरफ आता है, and this is allegedly supposed to be a part of the BRI. अब चक्कर क्या है, ये जो जंगूर कॉरिडोर अर्मेनिया के मैप में आप देख रहे हैं, एर्मिनिस्तान जहां पर लिखा हुआ है, दिस इज द ट्रेडिशनल नेम, वहां पर नीचे इट क्रॉसेस थ्रू अर्मेनियन टेरिटरी, एंड टर्की और अजरबैजान के इंटरेस्ट में ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि टर्की को बनना है यूरोप का गैस एंड ऑयल हब. तो अगर अजरबैजानी ऑयल कैन बी ट्रांसपोर्टेड इनटू टर्की, रिमूविंग अर्मेनिया फ्रॉम दैट पिक्चर, एटलीस्ट वो सदर्न पार्ट हटा दो इसको, तो
थोड़ा सा
उससे
या
क्या होगा, पूरा ये हो जाएगा। ऊपर से ये नाचिवान जो प्रोविंस है, दिस इज एन अजरबैजानी प्रोविंस अक्रॉस अर्मेनिया। तो अजरबैजान बोलता है यार मैं अपने प्रोविंस से भी मिल लूंगा।
और एक और इसमें होगा आदि, अगर तुमने वो जंगेजुर कॉरिडोर के लिए तुमने थोड़ा आर्मेनिया का मैप छोटा कर दिया, तो आर्मेनिया शेयर्स बॉर्डर विद ईरान टुडे ओनली थ्रू दैट इज गोइंग टू डिसअपीयर।
ठीक है, दूसरा पाकिस्तान का इसमें इंटरेस्ट है, who supports Azerbaijan, as a matter of fact JF-17 ब्लंडर, JF-17 ब्लंडर बेच रहे थे इनको वो, ठीक है, द ब्लेंडर, वहां पे उसमें सिर्फ जूस बनता है, बाकी कुछ नहीं होता। तो दे वर ट्राइंग टू सेल दैट टू देम, चाइना का इंटरेस्ट है इसके अंदर, तो ये एरिया बड़ा बड़ा टेढ़ा है। सो दिस इज द कॉरिडोर दैट वी वर टॉकिंग अबाउट। अब आते हैं टू द पॉइंट। हाँ, नाउ लेट्स कम टू द पॉइंट व्हिच इज व्हाट आई वांट टू काइंड ऑफ शेयर विद यू, कि ये जो इजराइल टू अजरबैजान टू तेहरान, ये आप जो बात कर रहे हो, these are the 4 airfields. And guys, please don't laugh. There is actually a city in Azerbaijan called Ganja. Okay, so just don't laugh. It is what it is. It's been there since the 1800s. So just let it be. These are the 4 airfields which are there. Now, मैं आपसे एक सवाल पूछूंगा इसमें, ये सब ठीक है साहब, इजरायलीज को फिर भी अपने जहाज लेके जाने पड़ेंगे अजरबैजान, कहां से जाएगा? तुर्की जाने देगा उसको? अर्मीनिया जाने देगा उसको? जॉर्जिया जाने देगा उसको? सीरिया जाने देगा उसको? कहां से लेके जाएगा वो? How does he take his aircraft to Azerbaijan to do this? ये एक लॉजिस्टिकल प्रॉब्लम मेरे को नहीं समझ में आई है अभी तक।
Okay, Turkey will allow probably. Then what we are looking at is that very narrow space between Nakhchivan and Turkey, which connects Turkey to Azerbaijan.
But that also takes off northern Iran.
That takes a part of, but there is a territory. If they fly over that area, probably, or what what could happen is probably they would take Georgia into their confidence. Now Georgia becomes a little dicey, and this would be a game changer. But was Adi, very good question. Now what is happening is Russia has had this maramari with Georgia 2008 mein. Post which Georgia became very anti-Russian and this and that. What I don't know, maybe you know, Georgia has been showing a wee bit of climb down and pro-Russian tendency over the past 1.5 years. Now going back to my point, Russia moving out of Azerbaijan, if that means Israel can now move into Azerbaijan and create some problems across in one of Iran's front, which is the northern front, to transport their wares. If they use Georgian territory tomorrow, it may never come to that. It's just guessing game going on. To transport their saman, if they are using Georgian territory, which could mean that Russia also has very silently nudged Georgia to allow that to happen.
जान दे.
Okay. हाँ, जाने दे. Why? Because Russia wants the West to get entangled in this region.
Absolutely. Absolutely correct. तो आपने वेस्ट को फंसा लिया. दूसरा, if you look at it from the other direction, the West can also get Russia stuck in the region.
West has got Russia stuck in the region. Caucasus has always been a point of problem for Russia. 17 something से वो जो Caucasian war and
fantastic. Now मैं आपको एक फनी चीज बताता हूँ.
This is a giant killer, this region. ये सबको मारे, ये अफगानिस्तान जैसा है.
ठीक है. चाइना का BRI जाता है 3-4 कंट्री से, जो ये जो कैस्पियन सी वाला रूट है, it starts from China, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan से it turns around into Afghanistan, north of Afghanistan से gets into Iran, ईरान से आता है ये इस तुर्कमेनिस्तान की तरफ नहीं जाता, ये उज्बेकिस्तान, ईरान, सॉरी उज्बेकिस्तान, ईरान, and it goes into this place. Or there is another one, उज्बेकिस्तान से आके it goes into the Caspian, cross multimodal transport जो है,
या फिर कैस्पियन क्रॉस करता है.
नहीं तुर्कमेनिस्तान it doesn't, तुर्कमेनिस्तान वो साइको के पास कोई नहीं जाता. Even the Chinese don't go there.
No, there is a Turkmen gas pipeline का बात चल रहा है.
हाँ, वो है. But this thing goes into Azerbaijan and goes into Turkey. ठीक है, तो चाइना का इंटरेस्ट है. Funnily speaking, पिछले हफ्ते एक एक्सरसाइज हुई with these countries who are part of the CSTO, ठीक है, रशियन लेड CSTO का पार्ट हैंगे, and they did an exercise in the Caspian Sea without Russia. Reaction.
Yeah, there is also this thing going on. They are trying to pull Armenia and Azerbaijan both out of CSTO, the Western powers, EU, etc., etc. Yeah, or Azerbaijan ka this one thing, this one another very strange, क्या बोलते हैं उसको, changes that has happened between, as far as Azerbaijan is concerned, is Azerbaijan used to have conventional very good terms with the West initially. And that has now suddenly changed with Joe Biden. It started with Azerbaijan coming into independence and things like that, and then there was this section 970 or 270 or something. You can look for it, which mandates a stoppage of all direct United States aid being sent to Azerbaijan. तो ये I think 1992 से चल रहा था, सॉरी 1992-93 में आया था, फिर ऐसा चलता रहा, फिर 2002 में they added another clause to it कि okay, you can sort of amend it, but you have to amend it every year. A sitting president, a sitting government of the United States can like write a छोटा मोटा नीचे छोटा मोटा
वो करते हैं, हाँ.
Yeah, and then you can send the saman. So from 2002 till about 2000 till about Joe Biden came to power, every president from Bill Clinton to George W. Bush to अपना
sign कर
Barack
देते
Obama
थे.
to Donald, सब sign करते थे. ये Joe Biden पता नहीं किसने sign नहीं किया. That has sort of deteriorated the relationship of Azerbaijan and United States. Either, लेकिन Azerbaijan has got very good relationship with Israel. So it's all a mess. And despite Azerbaijan's relationship with United States deteriorating, United States is pushing European Union to जो बात पे ये मतलब this topic came in, is pushing European Union and NATO to lure Azerbaijan and Armenia both out of CSTO.
अर्मेनिया ने तो छोड़ दिया pretty much. अर्मेनिया ने तो छोड़ दिया pretty much. उसने अपने बॉर्डर गार्ड्स और एयरपोर्ट गार्ड्स को बोल दिया जाओ यहाँ से, जो रशियन गार्ड्स थे इनके, उनको सबको भगा दिया.
And Russian leaving Nagorno-Karabakh is primarily because of Armenia. कि यार जो चाहिए नहीं वो जगह तुम्हारा है नहीं. We came in to help, we came in to like sort of peacekeep and safeguard the interests and the lives of the Armenian living in Nagorno-Karabakh. Since you don't recognize them, what's the point in staying? Let's move out. That's on the face of it.
Yeah, of course. Because the thing I'm worried about is, I don't know if देखो, Israeli response to Iran should be more on the, I don't think they'll do this, what we are discussing. I don't think they'll do this because it will really explode, and you don't know what Iran has as far as nuclear weapons is concerned. है भी कि नहीं है, क्योंकि आज ईरान ने भी एक स्टेटमेंट दिया है कि next time you attack, we'll use a weapon that has never been used. Now, they said this. After that, then they said, there is a what? Wait. ये बड़ी interesting सी news थी कि भाई हमने तो एक फतवा दे रखा है against this thing. कि भाई we've given a fatwa till now कि भाई we will not develop nuclear weapons, but if Israel attacks our nuclear reactors, then we will remove that fatwa. So these are the two statements that came out of Iran. So they're basically showing a very hard poise right now.
Yeah.
But एक चीज, how do you look at one question, and this is something that has been bothering me for a while, कि जो भी कह लो, the Iranians have breached one thing. Israel wasn't hit by Iran till now. ठीक है, उसके पप्पू टट्टुओं ने मारा है, ठीक है, but directly ईरान से इजराइल की तरफ नहीं आया है कुछ भी,
कभी नहीं आया है.
So they've breached that strategic boundary कि भाई Israel is unhittable. वो हट गया है. After I think Saddam Hussein 1991 में जब उसने स्कड्स मारी थी चारों तरफ, he just fired scuds all around the place. सीरिया को लगी थी जाके, every place he just bloody fired. I think that was the last time Israel पे एक missile attack हुआ from a state actor. ये, how do you see this changing the strategic balance in the region? Because अब इजराइल ठोक देगा वापस, ये वो सब कुछ है, थोड़े टाइम के बाद ठंडा भी हो जाएगा, बट स्ट्रेटेजिक बैलेंस कैसे दिखता है आपको इस जगह में? बिकॉज आई थिंक इट इज चेंज्ड टू अ सर्टेन एक्सटेंट.
This changes a lot of things. And have you noticed one thing? Israel का strike का बोल रहा है, सब बोल रहा है, कुछ नहीं हुआ. Nobody is showing pictures. The same thing happened when Balakot में strike हुआ था. वो सिर्फ कौवा मरे थे और पता नहीं क्या-क्या मरे थे बोले थे Pakistan, but nobody showed pictures. So contrary to the popular belief that all 330 missiles were were duds and we sort of intercepted them and we did this and we did that, I think there has been some amount of damage. Otherwise, why aren't they coming out with the pictures? So not just
साउथ में एयरबेस में तो हुआ है डैमेज, करेक्ट, यू राइट, देयर हैज बीन सम डैमेज, कोई भरोसा नहीं है.
but yeah, so it's not just the fact that a state attacks or a state launches missile. It is also then a fact that the state manages to cause some amount of damage. A state which has been so massively sanctioned for the past, I don't know, 200 years, 20 years, 30 years. Iran ka to, matlab, since the time we started taking interest in geopolitics, Iran has been sanctioned. Okay, 1979 में तब मेरा उम्र ही क्या था, like 4-5 years old. तो तब से Iran has been sanctioned. Now the thing is that such a severely sanctioned nation manages to create such a kind of an impact. It is going to cause a lot of it has the potential. Let me put it in a much more thoughtful way. It has the potential to cause a lot of strategic disbalance in the region. The fact is how they're going to portray this, how they're going to advertise this. Are they going to advertise this as something which is like Islamic World Cup strike against the Jews? Then there is a probability, then there's a 50-50 probability that this might be a hit amongst a couple of people. This might not be a hit amongst a couple of people, because then you have the Shia angle which is coming in, and you have a fair amount of Middle Eastern states which don't like Iran and Iran Shia being Shia. So even though a Bahrain or even though a Saudi has got significant amount of Shia population, which Iran might think of influencing, because these are not democracies, the monarch doesn't need to seek this guy's opinions to, and present his best self to them. They might just decide to mow down upon these people like they did in Bahrain. Bahrain का जो color revolution था, उसको तो भयंकर तरह से दबा दिया गया. So yes, so depends on what is that, how is Iran trying to promote this? How is Iran trying to going to brand this story? So we'll have to wait and watch as to how Iran brands this story. But this, on its own, this is a story which has got tremendous potential. Hitting
Correct.
Israel.
Yeah. And the point is that the Israelis have not kept quiet. Okay, the Thukum Tukai has happened. Hezbollah, one big commander, has been taken out. Okay, he was hit in Lebanon. There have been massive raids, and the biggest one went in about 100 kilometers into Lebanon. So that was a bit scary. There could have been a heavy retaliation from Hezbollah. Hezbollah थोड़ा पीछे बैठा हुआ है, करता है, but इतना नहीं करता. I don't think they're very wanting to get into this thing, because whatever said and done, 2006 में Israelis हारे थे, ठीक है, they had to pull back, but damage दोनों को बहुत हुआ था यार. I mean, the Lebanese took a lot of damage because of that. They never recovered after that. तो मेरे को ये बताओ आप, finally, what do you see as the potential कि leave Israel, Iran छोड़ देते हैं, अच्छा भाई ठीक है हो गया खत्म, वो Israel will do what Mossad does, and but do you think a lateral escalation just between Azerbaijan and Armenia is possible? Just a lateral escalation localized, because उससे फिर वही सारे घुस जाते हैं उसी एरिया के अंदर. If there is a war in that area, Russia is involved, Israel is involved, Iran is involved, US is involved, everybody's back. Even France, by the way, France has removed, I forgot to mention this, France has removed his ambassador from Azerbaijan.
Yeah. They are thinking of providing weapons and all to Armenia. देखो, मेरे को with Pashinyan in power, the Armenian PM, Prime Minister, with him in power, I don't think Armenia is going to go for a regional conflict with Azerbaijan, because Pashinyan has got a tremendous amount of pressure from the West to let this matter get sorted on its own. Ab kal ko, when this Zangezur corridor ka baat happens, where they want to build, where Azerbaijan wants to build this corridor, how they want to go through the territory of Armenia, are they going to claim the territory of Armenia? That is a kind of a conflict which is probably going to come in. But then again, given the fact that Europe has a lot to depend as far as Azerbaijani gas, oil and gas is concerned. That BTC pipeline is concerned, which starts in Baku. Okay, Baku, Tbilisi, and Shean pipeline, the BTC pipeline. So Europe is a lot dependent on Azerbaijan. Even if United States तो नहीं बोलेंगे, Joe Biden for some reason which is quite clearly beyond me has decided not to go ahead with that section 290 or 270 or whatever. Europe needs Azerbaijan and Europe needs Armenia also. So I am sure these people would sort of influence them. And with now, if they've successfully managed to minimize the influence of Russia going forward, if this stays like this, and another point is also there. I've been reading a lot of articles and I've been reading a lot of essays coming out from the Eurasian, from the Caucasian region, that all these Caucasus states, Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan, they have become a little iffy. They have become a little apprehensive after this Ukraine conflict as to what is Russia going to do, how is Russia going to expand its influence and all. So this could be a very good time for the West to kind of try and steer these guys out of Russian influence. And if they manage to do that, then these people might, with a little bit of differences between them when the corridor starts getting constructed, they probably won't let it, flare up, is what my guess is.
That's interesting. And I mean, my last question to you is that, Dekho, whatever said and done, the potential of conflict is always there.
Always there.
And you are arming. I mean, let's bring in our angle, because here is where we are involved pretty heavily. But I don't think we are involved ideologically. We are involved in as a supplier of weapons. But what is our interest in Armenia? ठीक है, people look at the map and say, भाई कहाँ भेज रहे हो यार, क्या है ये, आपका क्या इंटरेस्ट है वहां पर? What is your interest in keeping Armenia safe? As a matter of fact, there is now a talk of a back-end channel between India, France, European Union to support Armenian status, the current status quo. तो भारत का क्या इंटरेस्ट है इस जगह के अंदर?
एकदम प्रैक्टिकली बताओ, अपॉर्चुनिस्टिकली क्या इंटरेस्ट है? ये मिडिल कॉरिडोर हो जाएगा तो अपना मिडिल ईस्टर्न कॉरिडोर का थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम है. ये यूएई, सऊदी अरेबिया, इजराइल, इंडिया का जो कॉरिडोर बन रहा है ना, द स्पाइस कॉरिडोर, that might lose a little bit of its sheen, that might lose a little bit of its focus if the middle corridor happens. So while you have a Turkey which wants to come into the game, well, you have a Turkey, you have a Azerbaijan, you have a China, which are heavily pushing for this corridor. Ye Zangezur ho jane ke baad, when you establish contact between Azerbaijan mainland, Nakhchivan and Turkey, and thus get into Caspian Sea and thus into Central Asia, you come into the backyard of China. So what you are saying is you're giving China a straight access via one of these routes to Europe. So that takes, as I said, a lot of sheen off the corridor that we are trying to create, which is the Middle Eastern corridor. So India might have a very, very shrewd reason to want Armenia to live another day, to fight another day if they want to fight, so that this thing remains the way it is and takes as much of time as it can take before things sort of cool down.
There's also another game.
Yeah, please.
The game is also the other side, not Turkey.
Turkey ka, just I said that Turkey gains a lot out of this middle corridor.
So वो नहीं होने देना, तो you kind of put a banter in his put a stick in his wheel. So that's something which is interesting. And दूसरा देखिए, although I agree with you that it might create a little bit of a challenge on the IMEC, but the point is that people don't want to use Turkey. That's the Middle East chaps don't want to use Turkey. Otherwise, they would have taken the GCC railway into Iraq and taken it up. वो नहीं कर रहे लोग. Because GCC railway is ready. Unlike a lot of people don't understand, the GCC railway network is ready. As a matter of fact, Qatar बोल रहा है कि भाई we are also connected to GCC railway. आप हमको भी थोड़ा सामान भेज दो और हम भी रख लेंगे आपके पास, एक मार्ट शार्ट हम बना देते. So Qataris are now interested to join this particular thing, and very interesting. This is real politic, not real geopolitic, but real politic जो इस जगह पे हो रहा है, right? So it's an amazing area of the world जो हमको थोड़ा समझना पड़ेगा, because we have kind of ignored this area as a part of geopolitics for a long time. ठीक है, but
This
now
is where
because
geopolitical this is where geopolitical games get played. Caucasus is the region where geography and politics mix with each other. Ethnicity,
yeah,
ethnopolitics,
yeah,
technopolitics, econopolitics, सब एक साथ में खिचड़ी पकता है यहाँ पे.
yeah, it's the game is big. There's no question. And
Yeah.
इस टाइम पे जो जिस तरह का geopolitics चल रहा है चारों तरफ, it is amazing and it's such a learning experience apart from it being very dangerous, but it's such a learning experience. Everything is just there are connections after connections after connections being cut up, made, and recreated in this entire region. So it's
Recreated.
very,
Yeah.
yeah, very interesting, guys. So please like this video, subscribe to the channel. Let's get into some questions, yeah. क्योंकि इजराइल का जो काउंटर अटैक कुड बी फ्रॉम वेरियस डिफरेंट एंगल्स, कुड बी द मोसाद वे, कुड बी द इजरायली एयरफोर्स वे, कुड बी द लॉन्ग रेंज रॉकेट अटैक्स. रिमेंबर, इजराइल ने गाजा के अंदर स्मॉल आर्म्स यूज करे अभी तक. दे हैव नॉट यूज्ड बिग वेपन्स, दे हैव नॉट यूज्ड देयर एयर पावर दैट मच. ठीक है, so they still have their entire this thing. And one angle that Colonel Raina actually told me today morning, and I kind of, that thing stuck to me. He said, यार आदि तेरे को एक चीज समझना चाहिए, इजराइल का पूरा बैटल फोकस हैज बीन ऑन ईरान. ठीक है, फॉर अ लॉन्ग टाइम इट इज नॉट दैट इजराइल डजंट लुक एट ईरान. इजराइल ओनली लुक्स एट ईरान, राइट? सो yes, they are fighting in Gaza, manpower, this, that, ये वो, but their Iran weapons have not been used till now.
Yeah,
So they
Gaza
have
में
that,
यूज ही क्या. Yeah.
they have that stockpile to take on Iran on a short duration aerial sort of a this thing. Now that is something which is very interesting to me. That's another angle. So all the geography goes to the 6. You just freaking light fires in the backsides of rockets and chop chop
Yeah.
chop chop. That is something that we could see going forward, because somebody's got to take the hit, the final hit, and I don't think that will be Israel. So on that note, guys, request once again, like the video, subscribe. We got what, 600 likes? Yeah, I think we can hit a little harder than that. So please like, push the like button. And of course, yes, you can contribute towards the DevTalks efforts using the QR code. नीचे पेपाल का डिस्क्रिप्शन फॉर दोज ऑफ यू स्टेइंग अब्रॉड, या फिर आप सुपर स्टिकर्स, सुपर चैट्स या मेंबरशिप्स के साथ आप लोग इस चैनल को सपोर्ट कर सकते हैं. लेट्स सी व्हाट यू गाइस हैव टू से. सबसे पहले लेट मी जस्ट अनाउंस 2 मेंबर्स. शार्लिनी आहूजा जी, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर बिकमिंग अ मेंबर. एंड Mirani ji, thank you so much for becoming a member. After that, Partha, thanks so much, says, as we speak, 2 USC 17s from Ramstein Air Base, Germany, are in Israeli airspace, preparing for Iran or just replacement for depleted interceptors?
No idea. It could be anything actually. But I think, last tweet jo nikla tha, Israel has said that right now, we are not right now looking into any kind of escalation from Iran with Iran. At least for the time.
But if you
But
listen
again,
to what Netanyahu says, he's running around with a torch here.
And he is in the spot actually. He is in trouble. He's not been very, not been a very effective leader.
Yeah, the Israelis don't like Netanyahu. वो ठीक है, वो मैं आपकी बात मानता हूं. But the Israelis are happy with what he's doing in Gaza. There is a difference. And that difference the world is not able to understand. They want him to fix Gaza because they know this is the only guy who's ruthless enough of doing what is needed to be done.
It could also be the fact that, you are the guy that created this problem. Now you are the guy that needs to solve this problem. It could be his redemption.
Point taken. But there is also the Israelis know कि इससे बेहतर कोई कर नहीं सकता, क्योंकि बाकी ये बेनी गैंस फैंस तो ऐसी हैं, ये गधे हैं, इनमें इतना दम नहीं है. Yeah, he's the only guy that can stand up to Joe Biden and say, "बस ऑफ, मैं जो करना मैं करूंगा."
And this is a characteristic of people who have known to have faced existential threat. They prefer a strong leader. Same applies for Russia. They don't like a Boris Yeltsin because he's weak. They don't like a Mikhail Gorbachev because he's weak. They perceive him to be weak. And that is the reason why even aaj ke din mein, if Putin's adventures turn into misadventure and tomorrow Russia again hits the ground and crumbles and this and that, but he would still be hailed as a good leader because he took tough decisions.
Yeah,
I
he
think the
fought.
same.
The
Yeah,
Russians
same
appreciate
applies
that.
well.
Yeah, absolutely. This is actually a very good point. Very good point. Rajesh Agrawal ji कहते हैं today Pakistan has come in support of Iran. What do you think about that? बोलते ना
पाकिस्तान,
कहानी में twist.
पाकिस्तान क्या करेंगे? पाकिस्तान ईरान को अभी सपोर्ट कर रहा है, कल को यूएस बोलेगा तुम्हारा पैसा बंद, पाकिस्तान बोले नहीं, ईरान खराब है. सो आई डोंट नो. आई मीन at this point in time, Pakistan stands in a place where you cannot reasonably try and analyze what is coming out of Pakistan and why it is coming out of Pakistan.
And funnily speaking, मैं आपको एक चीज और बताऊं, ये जो अर्मेनिया को आप सामान भेज रहे हो, this is very interesting because you are using the proverbial INSTC. It is literally taking that route into the north, into this thing. Apart from going into the Caspian Sea and hitting Russia, वो नहीं कर रहे आप. You're going to the land and it's going to Armenia. So there is a land route ना, Armenia से Georgia, Georgia से वो southern Russia में, and you're inside. तो वो भी है. There is war always brings about this opportunity to kind of test your what do you call your kind of routes and all that stuff. You are sending stuff to Israel by road. आप भेज रहे हो and अभी यहाँ पर भेज रहे हो. So this is very interesting. Palji, thank you so much. Says chances of US civil war, UK partition by 2030. My God. Okay. That's a big one, buddy.
US civil war का पता नहीं. United Kingdom is
ये जाएगा.
going to change. ये तो गया actually. And then I put up a tweet today itself that what I would be interesting as a bystander, as a fence sitter who doesn't have a skin in the game, at least as far as UK is concerned, is what happens when white Islamists of United Kingdom look at the mainland Europe, because this is an inevitable sort of a conclusion that England is looking at, United Kingdom is looking at. But US का जहाँ तक civil war का सवाल है, United States people are too lazy and too बिखरा हुआ, too all over the place to sort of organize and get into a north versus south or a white versus brown fight. And अगर white versus brown fight हो भी जाता है ना, if you have the Mexicans and the black people all side ganging up on one side, they'll beat the white people black and blue. So I don't know what is going to happen to US. But
I
UK
don't
isn't.
know.
But everything said and done, jokes apart, everything said and done, United States has demonstrated tremendous amount of resilience and the capacity to bounce back. हम जितना भी उन लोग को गाली दे, जितना भी उनको गाली दे, they have got, I mean, they are fundamentally something different. I don't have the same kind of an opinion as far as United Kingdom is concerned.
जो भी कह लो, and I said this, same. Why am I smiling? मैंने exact same चीज I said this in the afternoon कि यार US वाले ऐसे हैं, when they make mistakes, they put it on their CIA archive website and you go download it and read about it. You can feel happy, sad, angry, mad, do what you want to. We did this, we made a mistake. Fair enough. Whatever it is, it's there. They still hide a lot of things. There's no question. For example, the 9/11 Commission report, 9/11 Commission report has still not been taken out. Why there is no video with so many these things of the aircraft actually hitting Pentagon? No one knows.
No one knows.
ठीक है.
उतना नीचे जाके कैसे एक एयरक्राफ्ट हिट करेगा पेंटागन में? That's also another question.
There is no gadha. There is no nothing. It goes straight into the building. There is no engine found. There is no wings found. ठीक है. So why this report has not been brought out? They hide a lot of things. There is no question. But ये जो उल्टे काम करते हैं ना, ये निकाल देते हैं. Like George Bush, it's an open secret. They bombed Iraq. They killed 1 million people. Yeah, it was a mistake. That's it. And they're very blatant about it. Then somehow that's interesting to a large extent.
That's a soft power. That's a soft power influence, by the way. This arrogance, this typical Yankee arrogance. A lot of people want that. A lot of people want to be like them. By the way, there's this interesting thing. Remember, Adi, we were talking about the current flashpoint and the shifting of the axis of flashpoints into from Grimland into Heartland. तुम्हारे साथ last week या before that, week before that, we were discussing, and I said Ukraine and then Caucasus and then Central Asia, and the line has shifted. ये देखो आज हम लोग कॉकेशस लेके बात कर रहे हैं. सो कितना भी गाली दे हम लोग उसको, और जो बाइडेन कितना भी बुढ़ा हो, कितना क्या हो, but these guys know how to sort of play their geopolitical games.
आप ठीक बोल रहे हो, लेकिन साले फॉलो थ्रू नहीं करते यार. एंड दिस वाज अ सुपर प्लान. अगर आपको सो कॉल्ड, आई डोंट बिलीव देयर इज अ रशिया चाइना ईरान एक्सिस एज पर से, बिकॉज रशिया एंड चाइना आर नॉट इन द सेम पेज एट ऑल. ठीक है, वो हाँ दिखाने के लिए कर देते हैं वो, बट दे हेट ईच अदर. हैविंग सेड दैट, जो हाँ जी, जो वेस्टर्न कंस्ट्रक्ट है, एक ये जो एक्सिस ऑफ इविल का सो कॉल्ड रशिया ईरान एंड दिस थिंग, इसके अंदर से आपने रशिया को वहां पकड़ लिया, ईरान को यहां धर लिया तुमने. अब फॉलो थ्रू करो यार, गेट हिम एंगेज्ड हियर सो दैट यू कैन गो आफ्टर चाइना. अब वो they're not following through. यहां पर ये this is something I don't like. They've not kind of.
I think you know what? In the larger scope of things, United States is more scared of Russia and Iran than United States is scared of China.
Yeah, because they know China is a pukkad.
एक तो वही बात है. आज के दिन में, continuing on what you're saying, आज के दिन में, if let's say there is an open confrontation between Iran and Russia on one side and United States, Israel, वगैरह वगैरह on one side, China is not going to lift a single finger to help any one of them. वो कुछ नहीं करेगा. That is China for you. So that is continuing on what you said. The other point that I had in mind is देखो ये China and United States का जो interdependence जो create होके रखा है, United States knows that it cannot do with it. At the same time, China also knows that I cannot do with it. So I don't think they are going to go for an all-out confrontation with each other. हाँ, थोड़ा बहुत होगा, as far as the maintaining that edge as far as global supply chain and high-tech manufacturing is concerned. But उतना तो नहीं होगा जितना रशिया के साथ या ईरान के साथ यूएस का लगेगा.
प्रॉक्सी किसी और को लड़ा देंगे, किसी और को लड़ा देंगे.
इंडिया है ना, इंडिया
नहीं इंडिया मना कर रहा है ना. अभी इंडिया मना कर रहा है ना, तो उधर जा रहा है वो जापान और फिलीपींस को बोल रहा है, तो मैं तुमको कुछ देता हूं, तुम
जाओ. हाँ, एक्चुअली
you look at it, India said no, so you know what they're telling India, अच्छा ठीक है, just hold him here. हमको हमारे क्या है, he's not never going to bloody sit down and resolve the border dispute. जब तक उसको लात नहीं पड़ेगी उसने रिजॉल्व नहीं करना है, नहीं करना, ठीक है, बैठे रहने दे उसको. तो यू आर बेसिकली होल्डिंग हिम डाउन. उसके आपने 2-3 बटालियन पकड़ के रखी हुई है यहाँ पर, प्लस रिजर्व, प्लस टर्न अराउंड, प्लस ट्रांसपोर्ट, प्लस दिस, प्लस दैट, प्लस इक्विपमेंट, वो आपने पकड़ के रखी हुई है यहाँ पर. तो ही थिंक 3 times बिफोर डूइंग समथिंग दैट साइड, बिकॉज ही इज वरीड कि यार यहाँ से ये लोग घुस गए अंदर तो मैं तो गया. Confucius says, go back to sleep. Laughing Buddha, thank you so much, says सभी एक पौधा लगाए, भारत माता की जय. I think that's the most beautiful message I have got on this podcast for a long time. Thank you so much. And एक और मैसेज मैं दूंगा, कल से जिसकी भी जहां पर भी वोट्स हैं, बाकी सब ठीक है, प्लीज 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 बंक वर्क इफ इट नीड्स टू, गो आउट एंड वर्क, वोट, bunk work, bunk college, bunk whatever you need to, go and vote. ठीक है, तो कल सब एक सेल्फी डालेंगे अपनी, जिनका वोट है काली उंगली के साथ सेल्फी जरूर डालना यार. That much we should do. Israel bombed Iranian embassy. If Israel didn't pursue it further, then what has it achieved from all of this? Exactly the point.
First thing is Israel अभी तक तो इसको openly acknowledge भी नहीं कर रहे कि we bomb. Didn't have they? That's the interesting part actually. And second thing is escalation में देखो, what good has it achieved Israel? The answer to that could be Israel was not in a position to know that Iran has suddenly developed the capacity to send 330 missiles across to their territory. So Israel has done that before. Donald Trump has done that before. Soleimani को ऐसे ही मार दिया. Israel, there's been plenty of attack on the IRGC bases in Syria. हर दिन होता रहता है. We don't get to hear about it. But this is probably that you know that red line which Israel crossed without knowing, and Iran retaliated. So Israel had no idea that this would happen. Now they have an idea. Now let's see where it goes from here.
Plus, also Israel changed the narrative of Gaza. Genocide is gone out of the window now.
Yeah.
Bharat Parekh Saab, thank you so much. One rumor floating in the news that Israel will attack the nuclear facility of Iran along with Pakistan. Oh, wow. What is your say? I haven't seen this.
Along with Pakistan.
I think.
So what Pakistan? Bolo.
Let's leave the Pakistan part aside. That's a little far-fetched. But what about targeting the nuclear facility? They've got 3 of them which are on the ground.
Yeah. Again, I like, you know, me as a person replying to this, I find it very difficult to believe that there would be a reasonable reason to escalate now, take it to the next level now. What Israel can best do is the discussion that we've had for the past 1 hour, that, you know, get into asymmetric warfare, move into Azerbaijan. You've got the territory, destabilize. And that's a game which you should be good at, and that's a game which United States should push them to. Why? Because then the axis of conflict shifts from a Gaza and a Middle East into the closer into the heartland region, which is like taking the war closer to Russia and to Iran and to China. Why keep it here? Why go in for a badminton match between Iran and Israel? Isne rocket mara, usne rocket mara, and all. It is probably not in Israel's interest. That's what my sense of logic tells me.
आपका सेंस एक और चीज मेंशन आपने जब बोला ना, एक चीज की घंटी बजी. This is the only battlefield in the entire heartland, in the entire rimland, जहां पर US troops involved होने की जरूरत नहीं है. And there won't be any call for it also. Rest, everybody will have troops on the ground. China will have, ठीक है, चाइना का इंटरेस्ट है वहां पर, कुछ ना कुछ भेजेगा, ये करेगा, वो करेगा. ईरान will have, रशिया के वहां पर बंदे हैं, गार्ड्स हैं, ये सब है. Israel, if they get their bloody footprint inside there, so you've got everybody except no demand for America to go there.
Yeah, and you would also have Turkey probably. Halaki, that is doubtful, but you might. They'll help Azerbaijan. They'll help their Turkic brethren.
All right. Second last question. NAG says, if Armenia is hand in glove with Soros and gang, why are we supplying weapons? This is really a cluster. You know what? Really interesting. Thanks, Aadi, Arindam sir, for this discussion.
Yes. See, Armenia is not a hand in gloves with Soros. It's Pashinyan, the Armenian state, the Armenian leadership, which is hand in gloves with Soros. Armenians, there are a large number of Armenians that still stand by with Russia. Okay. Yeah. So now this is where, as I said, that this is a very complex region. This is a very complex scenario. 2008 ke baad, when Russia, for example, struck Georgia and they went into a war and Russia pounded Georgia for 5 days or 6 days, Georgia had very bad fallout with Russia. Now 2024, Georgia is showing a little bit of an inkling as far as warming ties towards Russia is concerned. Pashinyan and Armenia used to be, Pashinyan never used to be, but Armenia used to be pro-Russian. Armenia is still fairly pro-Russian as far as the population is concerned, the people are concerned. It's the government that is not pro-Russian. It's pro-George Soros, pro-West, etc., etc. Azerbaijan, again, is very close to Turkey, and they are Azeris, and they have got ethnic links, but they're Shia. So ideally, they're supposed to be close to Iran. They are not. And they are very, Azerbaijan has got fairly good relationship with Russia. So even though Russia is putting in peacekeepers and all guarding Armenian populations inside Azerbaijan, Russia and Azerbaijan get along very well, and they know that this is a mere formality as far as the peacekeepers are concerned. So it's a very pechida, very complex. And is which may, why are we sending weapons? As I said, we are trying to probably be opportunistic and trying to cut that middle corridor, so that apna jo Middle Eastern apna jo spice corridor hai, that remains in focus.
Correct.
It could be a selfish reason, but that's where we are.
Our Palji 3 desert cults solve the problems in the world.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, no questions there.
But thanks much, man, for your contribution and that awesome comment. Vipul ji, that just shoots it out of the park right there.
That should be the tagline for this podcast.
Tagline. All right, Vipul Verma ji कहते हैं Armenia should not confront Azerbaijan at this point in time. They should quietly build up the military muscles, importing weapons from India and upgrading the air force with the French Rafale.
Now, what for
That's good
is
thought.
the question. I mean, are you asking this question because somewhere in your mind you support Armenia in this conflict? You have to ask this. I mean, where is this question coming from? Like, you know? So
There's no support,
even if
but
so is there a like okay, these guys have faced genocide and things like that. These guys have had a rough deal, have had a bad deal. Armenia, the first thing that Armenia needs to do if Armenia wants to go anywhere and Armenia wants to remain a kind of a contender in that region is to kick this guy out, this Pashinyan guy out. Okay. And that no amount of Rafale and no amount of Indian weapon and no amount of French help is going to do that. Armenia needs to kick this guy out. All this Indian help and Indian arms and ammunition तब काम में आएगा ना जब Armenia would want to fight Azerbaijan. If you have a Pashinyan in power, he would not want to fight Azerbaijan. Point number one. Point number two, if you have a Pashinyan in power, then you would have this anti-Russia sentiment which is there, which is kind of going to minimize Russia's influence in the Caucasus corridor. If you are a pro-Russian, if you're a pro-Putin guy. West wouldn't want that. West would want Pashinyan to stay. And so even though India is sending weapons, this is one jalebi kind of a region where India's interests are in the same line that West's interests are. India's interests are in the same line that Europe's interests are, because we want that route, we want that corridor. We are helping them support that. So
actually, I'll also add to you. I'll add to what you're saying. This is also one place where Russia's also interests align in certain aspects. For example, West does not want the Turkish to expand. The Chinese don't want the Turkish to expand. The Iranians don't want the Turkish to expand, and the Russians don't want the Turkish to expand. So all four of them have this thing of keeping Turkey in its place. Point one. Point two is Russia also does not want Iran to bloody come up this way. Because Iran, this, by the way, Azerbaijan, if you go to hardcore Iranians and you say what is Azerbaijan, he'll say North Iran.
That's northern Iran.
ठीक है, तो वो बड़ा क्लियरली बोलते हैं भाई यहाँ पर जो अजेरी पॉपुलेशन है वो उसके साथ कनेक्टेड है. And funnily speaking, Iranians traditionally, since a long time, the Shia Iran actually recognizes Christian Armenia. I don't know how, but they've recognized it for 20 centuries.
Yeah.
And they've coexisted. But Azerbaijan, Iran does not like, because they say this is our territory. The entire country is ours. So इसके अंदर ये एक ऐसी जगह है where literally everybody has an interest to keep the status quo. Except Turkey and China.
एक चीज यहाँ पे आदि, Russia probably wants Turkey to expand because the Zangezur corridor का initial peacekeeping guarantor was Russia. So
एक वो है, आपका बात ठीक है, करेक्ट. बट मैं आपसे ये पूछता हूँ भाई, अगर ये होगा तो रशियन ऑयल का जो यूरोपियन डिपेंडेंस है वो तो टर्की ले जाएगा ना यार.
हाँ, तो 2022 के बाद से ही तो ये हो रहा है. This recent development of Russia suddenly looking at Turkey as a kind of a, okay, we are okay with you expanding into Caucasus, happened after this Nord Stream blast happened, and after Europe decided that, okay, we've got nothing to do with Russian oil and gas. So Russia has got an interest in Iran not extending its influence in the north, in the South Caucasus region, which is north of Iran, which is Azerbaijan.
Yeah, Turkey becomes too powerful, na? Turkey becomes too powerful in the region.
Yeah, Turkey का geography ऐसा है, क्या करे बोलो.
नहीं वो है, but Turkey becomes too see, Turkey में actually problem नहीं है, problem is Erdogan. ये another 2-3 years he's gone. He's finished. He's not coming back. ठीक है, and as it is, इसका 2 साल तो हो गया है. Another year he's done. हो गया. He's not coming back. Turkey is going to go through a complete change of tactic, complete change of track and everything. Having said that, See, the Russians won't want Turkey to become that powerful, because if the Turkish can control the oil supplies to Europe, then Turkey controls Europe. रशिया बोलेगा
देखो
नहीं भाई, ये तो गड़बड़ हो जाएगा, मैं नहीं
नहीं
चाहता
देखो
ये।
हो सकता है, बट व्हाट आई एम सेइंग इज व्हाट्स ऑन ग्राउंड इज व्हेन दिस Zangezur कॉरिडोर का बात चल रहा था, Russia was the guarantor of the this thing of the transportation, the corridor and all. When Armenia asked who's going to, when you have this corridor which connects both these parts of Azerbaijan and thus to Turkey, who's going to be the third party who is going to look into the fact that Azerbaijan tomorrow doesn't start expanding into Armenia? So Russia said we are going to do it. अब ये बताओ, तो ये तो एक तो है, कुछ तो है,
कुछ तो है, कुछ तो है।
हाँ
चलो, 2 सुपर स्टिकर्स आए हैं, वो खत्म कर लेते हैं। Cyberpunk, thank you so much. Firstly, he says, hope Aadi hosts Greta and
Oh,
talk about dictator Modi.
yeah.
क्यों भाई? अच्छी बच्ची है, उसको मुझसे दूर रखो यार, बिगड़ जाएगी वो बेचारी। ठीक है, शी इज अ नाइस गर्ल, उसको स्कूल जाने दो वापस। अभी कितने साल की है वो? 16 15?
पता नहीं I
स्कूल
don't keep
जाने दो।
track of retards,
नहीं नहीं,
functional
आई
retards.
एक्चुअली आई रेड अप अबाउट हर व्हाई रिसेंटली शी गॉट अरेस्टेड इन सम प्रोटेस्ट, तो उसकी फोटो आई। मैं बोला यार, हियर इज वन पर्सन आई डोंट नो मच अबाउट, लेट मी फाइंड आउट हु शी इज। तो मैं उसका काफी हिस्ट्री, ज्योग्राफी, सिविक्स पढ़ी, ये है कौन। So yeah, I mean, I was just joking, 15, 16. She's 21 years old. She's a school dropout. She was supposed to go to college. She didn't go. Her parents are also activists, and she loves getting detained. So,
आंदोलन जीवी.
so let's last one. And by the way, she's very closely in touch with Mehrang Baloch.
And that other guy, Malala Yousafzai.
Malala is useless now. Malala was useful when she was in Pakistan. She is useless sitting in London. Mehrang is inside
Right now
Balochistan.
right now
Flavor of the season बोलते हैं ना जैसे. She's the talk of town now. So she's the game. Anyways, Palji once again says, US military complex, what plans for Bharat?
I didn't get this question. I mean,
Yeah, if you listen to what Lloyd Austin said yesterday, he said two things. One, we are doing joint production with India. We are working on the engines which will be online within 3 years. We would be able to give India the first few pieces. Thirdly, they said we would be doing further MRO with the Indians to develop the technology and stuff like that. They are talking about joint production of the armored vehicle. There are a couple of Coast Guard smaller vessels, fast boats and stuff like that. There are certain other things, and as a matter of fact, as for one big news, India is now assigned lieutenant colonel officers as liaison officers within their main theater commands.
okay.
So these are the plans. MIC would want that you buy their weapons here, which you're not ready to do.
एक चीज है, in the larger scope of things, Adi, if push comes to shove and if the Middle Eastern region breaks into a major massive flare up and you are forced to take sides, then India is probably going to side with the West on this one.
Obviously you will. Yeah.
And,
no question.
And it's not just India. What they have shown, it's like Jordan and UAE and Saudi Arabia and
everyone. Everyone.
Why? And why is United States going ahead with India and India going ahead with United States despite so much of khichir-pichir going on between the two of us is a kind of a destiny, is because of the fact that we are technologically dependent on the West. In Russia, they have created their own parallel. Okay, they are very cheap copies and of whatever is there in the market, but they have created their setup. China has created its own setup. India doesn't have its technological base, which is detached from the West, which is inbuilt from the West. So we are linked.
You must take whatever is required from them. There's no question.
So we would be like going ahead with them for quite some time to come, till the time India builds something of its own. And वो तो उसके पहले फिर एक और कॉन्फ्लिक्ट हो जाएगा, बिकॉज द मोमेंट दे गेट टू हियर दैट यू आर ट्राइंग टू बिल्ड योर टेक्नोलॉजिकल बेस, दे आर नॉट गोइंग टू टेक दैट लाइन डाउन.
Hmm. Hmm. Because of, and the last thing that I'll actually mention here is that one thing we also know, look at Israel today. He's so dependent on the Americans that he has to literally show them eyes and stuff like that. Yeah, itna zyada dependency hai uski. And today, I mean, my friend Gabriel, some of you guys watching would know him. He says, "यार, we find ourselves कि यार ये क्या किया हमने? We have taken everything from the Americans. हमने हमारे पास तो कुछ भी नहीं है अपना बनाने को. So strategic weapons, we are dependent on them. So it becomes a big problem for us if we want to have an independent foreign policy." And he said to me that we guys find you guys more independent than we are today.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Arindam Saab, thank you so much. Always a pleasure talking geopolitics with you. This was a tough region. I think I don't know if we both were able to do justice, but I really enjoyed this discussion. And
Same here.
we've had 1,600 people sitting here watching this. So you can imagine people are hooked onto it. This is a new region. We'll probably need a couple of more sessions to understand this place very, very carefully. And मैं तो हमेशा बोलता हूँ यार, Bharat is now growing. We need to start looking outward. And I've said
And
this
we
a
need to
lot of
start
times.
we need to start building our comprehension based on firm logic, old logic.
Ji,
And
ji,
it's
ji.
not because I love a particular political party that's where I started taking interest, and I find Jaishankar very smart, so I take interest in geopolitics. Doesn't work like that. You have to like kind of build your footing on very firm ground. So yeah, hope to be able
Yes,
to bring that to you over time.
absolutely, absolutely. It's amazing that we can have this wonderful discussion on the same level, and it's always fun talking to you about maps and geopolitics and countries' connections. Thank you so much. Looking forward for another Zabardast talk. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.